Welcome everyone. Hope you can all hear me. I'm starting this webinar. This is the first in a series of webinars that I'm offering to share spiritual truth, spiritual wisdom, and to help you get into alignment throughout your week. And this is being offered because of what's happening in the world. And I just want to share a couple of things before I continue. One thing, if your sound doesn't quite work or you cut out or there's a problem with the internet in any way, I am recording this, so I will send this out to everybody following this webinar who's RSVP'd, and I'll put it out publicly in a week or so. And secondly, I am holding another webinar on Thursday, and what I've done is I've separated these two concepts, and this is what I usually share in my workshops, in my sessions. I speak about reflective growth, alignment, and I also speak about the energy changes which are occurring on the planet. And so each of these sessions, this one I'll be speaking about alignment in helping you get back into this central core, which I'll speak about more shortly. And the one on Thursday is speaking about earth changes, of which there are many right now. And I will be going into a deeper channeled state. And both of this is channeled. This is one thing that I just want to say before I start. This is more of a conscious channeling. And what that means is I have my eyes open. And this helps me actually read the Q&A for you guys as well, if you want to ask questions, which you can do shortly. But also the way I work, the way I speak, is that there is always a healing occurring. And so as I'm speaking, I'm also working with a language, a philosophy of unconditional love, which works to open your heart. And throughout this session, really, as I'm speaking, you may go into a trance state. I often see people closing their eyes and start nodding as I'm talking. And it's what happens is that you can move into a trance state, but there's a healing going on. We're starting to resonate with our inner core, and this is one of the main reasons that I want to bring this in throughout the week. Is for myself as much as it is for everyone else, is to help us get back into that core alignment of truth, because there's so much happening in the world with our distractions, with a lot of things that are happening in our lives, especially now during these times, that we can find it increasingly difficult actually to get back into that core spiritual truth. So as I share all of these insights, this is shared for you to help you awaken your inner truth as well. And everything happens through reprogramming, as many of you know. So we begin to reprogram our consciousness, our subconscious, our thought patterns, our energy, our emotions back into love, back into a state of expansion. And I use this word back because this is your inherent nature of who you are. As we do this and bring ourselves back into this eternal state and tap into it more and more and more, this allows you to shift your life. This allows you to create the life that you want. And this allows you to move into greater and greater states of expansion. So I'll speak today for a while, and then we'll end with a gentle meditation. And this meditation is going to be, again, getting you back into this alignment. And I'm using this word alignment a lot here because this is something that I feel can really help allow us to understand what is it that we're working towards. You're working towards finding your true purpose, your path, your passions in life, and bringing meaning to your relationships, bringing meaning to your experiences, understanding what is occurring for you, and also beginning to take charge of your experiences. And this is a process of empowerment, beginning to realize that you are a central core of your reality. And so as you're listening to me here now, and all the others listening, we work with a group energy experience. And what that means is any question that arises that you have, and anything that I answer, is meant for the whole. So I will share as best I can truth that is relevant to you and also relevant to everyone else listening. And when we work in such a synchronistic way, it means that we have tapped into this group energy field for a reason. that there is something here for us to hear. There's something for us to listen to and take on. So I hope there's something valuable that you can take on for this. So as I was tuning into this session beforehand, I felt a lot of energy come in. And this is something that I usually feel before an energy healing session. So I know that as I'm offering this, that this is also going to be quite healing. This usually happens before I give a transmission and my crown starts to open and I get a lot of energy coming in. So that's just something I just wanted to put out there, because it wasn't something I was expecting either. Yeah, it's always great when we get assistance from above. So I can see that I'm being used as a tool, as always, to offer something else as a gateway. Now, so if you feel that you have a question, please go to the Q&A. There's a Q&A button on this webinar. I hope you can find it and ask something, and I will look at that and I'll see it pop up on my screen, and then I can look at that and speak and try and answer that. In the meantime, I wanted to begin with something that came up as I was tuning in for this session. And that is, with all of the changes that are occurring for so many, I wanted to speak about this process of change, this process of growth that we go through, this process of transformation that is occurring for us, and allowing us to move into a different perspective, shall we say, of how to look at growth, how to look at our experiences. And I mentioned in the description for this webinar that I'd be speaking about reflective growth. Now, this is the core of my understanding of reality, and that is that our inner world is a reflection of our outer world, which I'm sure you've heard before. And if you haven't, this is one of the core principles of reflective spiritual growth, spirituality. And that is, in order to understand our experiences, our life experiences, we understand our inner world. And as we understand our inner world, we understand our outer world. And so there's this interconnected relationship between us and our reality. And as we move through our growth experiences, we begin to see greater and greater aspects of our reality. We literally shift the way that we see the world. Our perspectives change. Your perspective of life is changing every single moment. And our perspective is related to so many aspects, such as time, such as how we view ourselves in this moment, such as how we are thinking about our past experiences, such as how we are defined by our past experiences, and how we move ahead with those past experiences. Do we allow them to define us and control us, or do we actually expand upon them and transform with them, allow them to transform? And so our perspective on reality is dependent on how we decide to look at reality. And it also relates to what our spiritual growth ideas are. And so I speak about this because I feel it's very important for us to be fluid with our beliefs around spirituality, our beliefs around reality, our beliefs about who we are. Because the more fluid we can be about them, the more we can have a little bit of openness around them. We allow those beliefs to change. Because at the core of it, the way we see our reality is based on our belief systems. The way I believe about reality, what I believe about my reality, will define how I see reality. And so there are many lenses through which we see reality. And as we start to uncover more and more of our world, we start to let go of these lenses. We start to take off a lens. We start to put a different lens in. And what we will find is that foundation core beliefs, which is what is generally called a core belief, will define the way we perceive reality. And so what I'm working with here is to bring light and awareness to these belief systems. And by doing so, these may challenge some core beliefs that you have, that we have, that the collective has. And yet, this is very helpful, because as we challenge that, we may find some resistance come up, and that will allow us to start to shift our reality. So, great. Got some questions here already. Okay. So I'm just going to work with the first one that I've seen here. And that is, I'm going to read this out because I'm not sure if you can all see this or not. Is there a reason why pain seems to be the path to growth? I have grown a lot these couple of years, but the pain I have felt has been tremendous. Okay, this is a brilliant question. Thank you for asking this. And I will answer this as best as I can. So the current reality that we're living in right now on planet Earth during this time is based on a specific stream of consciousness. So we are all living in a time where learning is suffering. This is a statement that the Buddha birthed, and it's come out in many forms in different spiritualities, and that is the concept that learning is suffering. We learn from our suffering. And there's two things I want to mention about this. On one level of reality, this is true, because from our suffering, we have a great deal of learning to take from that. When I, for those of you who don't know, I had a very, very long period of depression. And that depression, as difficult as it was and as difficult as it was to emerge, that depression is a source of so much wisdom, so much growth, so much love, so much compassion for others, for myself. And I'm still learning from that time. I will forever learn from that time. And so there's great wisdom and love and transformation to be taken from suffering. Yet we have one foot in one world and one foot in another. And that is, the other foot is in another reality, which is starting to appreciate that learning is awareness, that awareness is learning, that we do not need to suffer to learn anymore. And yet we haven't fully got into this reality yet. We're still in both. We're still processing that energy that we have to suffer to grow, that we have to suffer to learn. And what I would say is that the current reality that we're living in, we are transforming that energy for not just ourselves, but the whole consciousness of the planet. If you're awake, if you're listening to this right now, you're awake. And what that means is that you're awake to an aspect of yourself that is birthing, that is spirit, that wants to emerge onto this planet, that wants to be seen, that wants to remind yourself and all humanity what the truth is of this reality, of all realities. And so as this is emerging, you are transforming, yet you are also a vehicle for consciousness to use to help heal, to help transform the rest of consciousness. This is how everyone else wakes up. And I really want to, emphasize this, because it's important to understand that what you're experiencing is for yourself, but it's also for the many. We see ourselves as an individual, and yet we are interconnected to all life, to all consciousness. And so the very fact that you're awake allows you to be, shall we say, used by consciousness to help heal consciousness, to help align consciousness and awaken consciousness during this time. Saying that, there's a lot of belief systems that are being purged right now. There's a huge amount that's being purged right now. And this is happening through individuals who are awake to even know that it's possible to do this. And so the moment you bring light into your body, into your being, into your reality, you're bringing the light of consciousness into this world. And the first thing light wants to do is seek out the dark, the density, and bring love to it. This is the nature of love. This is the nature of spirit, of light. It will seek out density and wish to bring love and healing to it. And so there's a lot of energies, there's a lot of belief systems that will be purged and released through that. At the same time, as you're doing this, you're becoming aware of yourself as a person, and you're having to shift into a vibration that is becoming possible for you. You're basically being presented with a higher version of reality, one where your opportunities are limitless. one where your abundance is limitless, one where magic is real, one where you can live and do anything that you want based on your intentions, based on your desires, based on you wishing that within your life. Yet in order to anchor your frequency into that vibration, there has to be a transition. And so if you're on a fast track growth, which I presume all of you are, because this track, as we're starting to embrace and embody these changes, that it's moving faster and faster. Yet, depending on when you have woken up, shall we say, the initial stages can be very, very difficult, and they can cause a huge amount of purging. And this won't, I'm not saying that disappears, but that there are cycles. And so we go through different cycles of acceleration. And acceleration is where we're releasing a lot, a great deal more than normal. Our resistance, the pain is essentially our belief systems that are holding on to an older version of reality. Because as a being, you are, and as you come into this planet, you go through childhood and adolescence, and you pick up the belief systems of your family, of your environment, of your school, of the conditioning of your culture, of the conditioning of your perspective. These all create that lens of how you see reality. And the moment you awaken to spirits, you attract in, this is an incredible power of just being awake, just being saying yes. That initial yes is so undervalued, I feel, when we first say yes and open up, because it is so profound. Because the moment that happens, we can't go back after that. Everything will just start to happen, and it is a continual blessing. And yet the pain that occurs are these older belief systems that have to be discarded, and it is painful. It is painful to let go of them. It is painful when we have an experience, and usually there's a repetition of experiences that will lead us to a particular point where we have a drama. This usually ends in drama, some situation which will really make us finally look at that belief and go, okay, right, I'm ready to let that go. That doesn't work for me anymore. I'm ready to look at a different way of being for myself. And so what I always say is around pain, what I always say around resistances, what I always say around these experiences is that these are tremendous times of spiritual growth. No matter how it looks like, these are phenomenal times of growth. And a lot of times of confusion, times of pain are times where our belief systems are being really challenged. And these aren't your belief systems in the first place. These do not belong to you. These were given to you. These were taken on. Yet these are very, very important aspects of your growth too. And this is one thing I do want to say, that the principles that I work with is unconditional acceptance. And that principle is much deeper than just accepting everything. It's really about understanding that every experience is designed and being given to us as a gift. And this gift has tremendous purpose and meaning if we can allow ourselves to even believe that's possible. You don't need to even know what that is right now. You just need to believe that's possible. And this is where this concept of faith comes in. So if I rewind back to my depression, a lot of that time, I had no idea why the depression would even be meaningful. What possible meaning can there be in being in that kind of darkness? Yet holding on to the smallest flicker of flame within me of faith. And that flame never goes out, no matter how much we think it's gone out. It's always there, because it's the light of your spirit. It's just a shift in our own consciousness. We move our consciousness more into our darkness. Yet the light of your spirit is eternally bright, blazing. So it's about shifting your consciousness back into your light, back into your awareness. And so what happens when we go through these periods is that they're also necessary for us to experience the darkness, for us to then transmute that darkness into compassion as well as light, into love, into expansion. And so what I would say to those of you who are experiencing these periods, these intensities, these spirals, this is training. This is the best training you can get. by the universe, because we don't currently have universities that teach us how to do this, that teach us how to train our consciousness to develop compassion in this way. And yet, as you're training yourself, you are understanding with a first-hand experience, and you're ahead of a huge curve of humanity who are yet to awaken. And so I always say this to those of you who are experiencing this in awakening, is that there's a reason that you are awakening now. There's a reason that you're experiencing these types of experiences. Perhaps it is to help others. Perhaps it's so that you can understand that and develop your own compassion around that particular experience to then help others. You may feel like that's a long way off if you're still experiencing that. It's just something to hold, keep in your mind. And this is something, again, that I kept in my mind back then. However inconceivable it seemed to me back then that could even be possible, that I would help others. I felt like such a mess myself, yet it helped me guide. It became a navigation point, and it helped me understand that perhaps there's meaning here that Spirit is offering. Perhaps this experience has something so great and phenomenal that I will look back in 3 months' time and understand it, or 1 year's time and understand it. And that is the nature of growth. We always come to a point where we look back and understand the exact experience that we went through. And then we'll look back again 2 years down the line and look at it even deeper and even deeper and even deeper. And this is the nature of our experiences. And so our challenge, shall I say, is to develop our perspective of pain first before we move into this new reality that learning is awareness. First, develop our awareness of pain and shift it into a far richer experience. And I'm not saying that we look at it as being meaningless, like, it's just, I'm not saying that we just look at it and become detached from it, shall I say. I'm saying that we, in a way, we do become detached from it, because we become detached from the story, but we see it as treasure, untapped treasure. And so in order to heal that actual pain, which I find is usually emotional, is to embrace the emotions that you're feeling in a cathartic way. And this will take the charge out of the pain, and this will help you start to expand your awareness of that pain. And emotions are key, and I feel it's still not as understood or spoken about as much. In fact, initially when I started this path, emotions weren't really spoken about from the circles that I was mixing in. And I feel it's just representative of our society, because this is something that we're starting to understand, how powerful emotions are. Not just the good ones, the negative ones. The negative ones hold so much wisdom and power. And if we can understand that and face that, this is often called facing our shadow. If we can allow that release through writing, through speaking to another, through cathartic ways. When I say cathartic, through ways of really getting out. You may want to scream into your pillow, go out and then shout in the woods. Getting it out there, allowing it to be felt for what it is, reduces that charge of the emotion, reduces the charge of the belief system, reduces the amplification of the story, because everything is so much bigger with the emotion, so much bigger than it actually is. And then it reduces it down and allows it to be naturally healed, naturally transformed. And just one more thing I do want to say with this is that once you open up each day and just keep reminding yourself that the pain that I'm experiencing is beautiful because it's part of a greater understanding of my direction and my purpose and my path. It's part of my transformation. It's part of my expansion. Once you can open to that and just remind yourself each day of that truth, you will open the doorway for spirit, your guides, your team to work with you, to help you remember that, to help you find the clarity, the answers to those questions, to what is happening. And be open to letting go of a story that you may be holding on to. in particular cases, and it may be related to an individual or people or a situation. And this is a natural process of forgiveness and letting go. This is a huge time of letting go. We all have to let go, and it's not easy. Especially now as these times intensify, the letting go becomes more and more intense, because we are letting go of all of these older reality belief systems which aren't ours, and they need to be let go, because as you're letting them go, you're allowing consciousness to let them go. So you're doing great work for consciousness as you do this. You're healing ancestral patterns which have been passed down genetically as well as psychologically through generations. And so because this is a time where we're becoming aware of everything within us. So what does that mean? Everything within us is accumulation of all the belief systems that have occurred throughout existence, right? So this is a huge, huge, huge thing, huge growth that each person is doing. It's massive, yet everyone is given exactly what they can handle. And this is something that the harder the experience that you're going through shows how strong you are in being able to handle it. And strength isn't just like being able to withstand anything. Strength is vulnerability. Strength is being in that experience. And I guarantee that the fact that you can even ask that question, all of that, all of us who even, the fact that we can even look at our experience in this way shows that we are able to transform from it. So everything is just a matter of time with that. And I would say to commit to spiritual practices, and this is partly why I'm bringing this in as well. Find ways that you can align yourself back into a truth vibration, and this will really, really, really help, because everything is about reprogramming our consciousness back into truth. So I hope that brought in some clarity to that. That one I could probably talk about for weeks, months. I just want to move on to another one. Thank you for that question, though. I love that question. So I have a question here. So this one, there's two questions here. So I connected in with you just before starting this, and it continued to the point that I felt rather tearful. Do you feel it is working on an emotional level? Yes, thank you for this question. This is what usually happens in sessions as well. So as I'm working, as I'm speaking, I can feel it now. There's a huge energy here, and it's opening my heart, and it's working with all of you who are connecting, and you're all working with each other. And this is generally how my spirit team works. I didn't expect them to work like this today, to be honest. But I can see they're also showing me how to work, because they told me to start doing this webinar and don't give me any other information. So whenever I feel this starts to stir things within people. Sometimes I'll have a circle in my sessions and I haven't even begun talking, and those in the circle will begin crying. And that's because this energy just naturally does it. It's amazing. It naturally heals. And when I say this energy, it's spirit, it's love. It just naturally wants to bring a healing vibration and just open our hearts and open us back into love. And I work a lot with surrendering to spirit. So as much as there's a lot of wisdom that we can bring through, I work a lot with spirit to open up to them, to bring in their presence so they can take over. So you'll hear me talk a lot about healing and energy in that way, and that's generally why I'm talking about that as well. But just to go into your second question, I feel like I'm in paradise, but when I hear of the upset elsewhere in the world, it feels unreal. Is this what individuals term 5D and 3D reality? Okay, it's a big one. Okay, so everyone's in a different space around this, so I'm not going to try and generalize, but there is a huge amount that's going on in the world, and I do want to cover this more on the Thursday session, because this is where I'm going to go into that more. But what I will say is that whatever's happening in your reality is valid, your reality. And so trust, each one of us is birthing a new consciousness. And it's really important that you trust what's happening for you, irrespective of even what I'm saying. Your experience is the most valid. And so this new reality is birthing through everyone trusting themselves and defining what that is. And there are going to be many, many contradictions that happen right now. And it's incredibly clever because it's going to make us even more challenged to trust our own intuition. Because if we all believed in the same thing, we could say, yes, okay, that's true. But if we have very different belief systems start to come up, different truth, then we start to wonder, hang on, is this true? Somebody is saying this and somebody else is saying this. So what I would say is, when it comes to truth, especially now as we move into this time, it's about you. And this is the real empowerment. We're getting to much deeper, finer levels of empowerment. And this is where you begin to really trust what is happening in your life and trusting your reactions and your responses to the life around, to the world around you. We're in a time of great polarization. And so the world outside is shifting, but I would bring it back to yourself. What is giving you the most value? It's very important to honor your life experience or what is happening for you. We cannot help the world if we're in a very low state. If we're feeling great, we can go out and help. And so it's all about how we feel about ourselves and where we're naturally drawn to bring that assistance. If we're assisting out of sympathy, that can bring about a different type of energy. It can actually lead to drain. It can lead to guilt. It can lead to a lot of negative connotations. It can lead to drama. It can lead to a lot of situations where we can begin to get embroiled in the drama of a situation rather than actually effectively giving our help, which is usually action. What I mean here is that there's a lot of things that are happening in the world that we can get caught up in without actually taking action around anything. And this is because a lot of it is distraction energy. A lot of it is used to suck and seduce our energy to utilize in certain ways where we will be distracted by what's going on. I will refer this to what many of the great teachers have spoken about on this planet. And I always feel this is a great truth when coming to this question, is that the greatest way we can help in this world is to live by example and to help those in our circles locally. And there's a reason they said this, is because as we start to do this and take these steps locally around us in our reality, when I say locally around, then this has a powerful butterfly effect outwards. And so if you feel drawn to help in bigger levels, great. But if you're doing it out of guilt and feeling like you're being called to get involved, usually what I find is not much help is given. We just get caught up in the drama of the situations in our mind and our consciousness. And again, I want to go into this more on Thursday, but what I would say is just be wary of this seductive energy right now, because what it's doing is pulling people out of their inner being. And I'm not saying detach from the world either. There's a fine line here. It's just understanding that. Let me give you this example. Imagine that your friend is experiencing pain, going through a painful situation in their life. And you're feeling great. You know, everything's going great for you right now. You know that that friend could do with some support. So you offer your support, and you offer it to the point that you know is healthy. And the way you know this is because the moment you feel drained, it becomes unhealthy. It becomes unhealthy not just for you, but for them. That's very important to realize. The moment we feel drained in any situation, there is an energy loss occurring on both sides. That's how energy dynamics work. So that's why it's always important to honor yourself in every situation, because you'll be honoring others. And so similarly with the world situation out there, if you feel compelled to bring this outside, I'm not going to go too much into 3D and 5D reality, but there are definitely different levels. I would say there are millions of versions of reality going on, billions, infinite versions of reality going on, because everybody's seeing reality different. And every reality is valid for the person who is witnessing it. This is the complexity of life, yet the beauty of it at the same time. Because as as you're in your beauty and you're in that vibration of beauty and you're seeing the world in that beauty, you are assisting the world consciousness to enhance its beauty. It's not a delusion by seeing that. You're choosing to see the world as beautiful as you can, which assists consciousness. Because by focusing on the negative aspects of the world without actually bringing our direct action of assisting, doesn't help. Just as it doesn't help our friend if we see them as always in a negative state. We see them as having the potential to expand and grow and the potential to come out of that. We're also accepting of where they're at. So this is the dual way of looking, because we're not trying to fix them either. We're understanding that this is necessary. And this is what's happening in the world right now. It's necessary as a purging, just as when we have a purging, to release. And humanity is releasing on a monumental level right now. And what may look like as catastrophic from some perspective is also necessary, just as it's necessary within us. So if somebody came and told me that they would take away my depression, I would be mortified because it was vital. It was a vital part of my experience, which has allowed me to expand in the way that I have experienced. And it was my soul plan and design. I didn't know that at the time because I was unconscious of this. And so this is what generally happens. So our reality is experiencing something that every single soul and every single being will come to understand in their own time. That is their path and that is their divine timing. And so the best possible projection that we can have, because your consciousness is so powerful, it shifts reality, is to see reality in the way that serves all. And if you feel called to be more involved, then you will know this. It'll be a passion. It'll come from a joyful state. It'll come from a expanded state. You'll be led, you'll be blessed, you'll be guided. And all of our work is service, whether we realize that or not, because we are helping. Just even smiling to another person helps hugely, massively. We forget these simple gestures that hold immense, immense power, because they have butterfly effects and they grow and expand and they build and they build and they build. And by the end, there's a huge wave from that little ripple of that pebble that we dropped in. And so being in that state is a really beautiful way of allowing ourselves to be in that alignment. And we will start to see that our version of reality shifts. And again, I'll go into this more because I'll be talking more about shifting reality and parallel realities and the multidimensional ways of looking at life on Thursday. Yet, I did want to just add that I think it's beautiful that you feel that you're in paradise. So I love that. I have another question here. How can we connect and hear our individual spirit guides? Okay. I think what I will do then, in this meditation coming up soon, I'll bring that in. I like working synchronistically, so it seems like a spirit guide wishes to come through for us. Well, what I would say with this is that the tools are actually simpler than we believe. I spent maybe 5 or 6 years trying to connect with my guides, trying to hear them, trying to listen to them, trying to see them. And it took me a while until I realized that they were speaking with me anyway. And what's happening is that our guides connect with us through our consciousness. And I was expecting to hear this big, grand voice come to me, like Moses and the 10 Commandments, this huge booming voice from my guide telling me that he or she was here. Yet what I came to understand was that my guides speak through my voice, and I had to not listen to an external voice. I had to start listening to my own voice and realize that they were within my own voice, speaking through me. And this is the nature of how spirit speaks. They're speaking through us, because essentially your entire universe is a projection of your inner universe. And so spirit speaking through you. There's maybe a bit difficult for our mind to really, logically, it wants to place everything in a particular place. Like my guide is up there, sitting up there, and I'm here. Yeah, once we understand this just on an intuitive level, we can start to realize that okay, if my guides are within me and they're speaking through me, then I can begin to communicate with them by beginning to trust myself. And there are processes, there are brilliant people out there who can train you in how to open up to your guide and connect to your guide. But there are also visualizations that you can listen to that will help you connect to your guide. And what I would say is that when it comes to imagination, a lot of us discount our guides because we're labeling it as imagination. Oh, it's just me. Oh, that I think I just made that up. And this is the difficult thing of when we're working with spirit initially, is that we are, and this still happens. I mean, it still happens for me. I still wonder, did I just make that up? Where did that come from? And so there's this, as we're shifting into truth of reality, understanding that there is a multidimensional nature of the world. Our mind is still coming to terms with that, okay, because we're living in a world which doesn't understand that. And also we're living in a very 3D world of physical separation. So we can't see beyond the veil. Our guides are here right next to us, just as a friend would be right next to you. It's just that on the spectrum, we cannot see that, although more and more people are beginning to see that. So some people will see that, which is called clairvoyance. Some people will see beyond that. I met an incredible psychic once who actually had her eyes tested under a quantum microscope. And this is fascinating because they found that her eyes were vibrating slightly faster than others. So it was showing that she was able to see spirit because she was literally, her vibration was literally faster, enabling her to see. And she was one of those who was physically seeing outside of us. A lot of people will see in their inner mind, in other words, in your imagination. And that's the best way to begin. I would say is to begin to explore your imagination. And soon your imagination will begin to distinctively distinguish your guides' presence and their messages for you. And a lot of the way that guides work is that they're communicating through us, because remember that they have a fundamental purpose as well. They're here for your empowerment. They're here for you. They want you to feel empowered and awaken your inner love and inner wisdom. So they will subtly work with us so that we don't project onto them as well. This is why a lot of people don't see in this particular way. And for me as well, I don't particularly see in that way, but I've come to feel them. So some people are more clairsentient, and I come to feel their presence, and they come in very strongly, like I was talking about in this session. And this comes through practice of beginning to trust those feelings that you have, that very subtle presence, that very subtle warmth, the very subtle feeling that you have. And as I go into this meditation, which I'll do very shortly now, just trusting what you're feeling, just trusting what is happening for you. Every single soul on this planet is surrounded by a team of guides. We have guides from the moment we incarnate. Whether we believe in that or not, they are here. They are right beside us. They are serving every moment of your existence in absolute, the deepest compassion and love for you, who you are, and your purpose here on planet Earth. And you have different guides who come in and out. And there are core guides, and there are guardian guides and guardian angels, and these are all different aspects of consciousness who are here to help you and support you. And there's great interest in souls during this time as well. And so I would suggest here is to explore guided visualizations as a starting point, and then beginning to explore those who can actually lead you through those experiences in live group experiences. If you can find that, these are very, very powerful, because the group energy again will help you connect, and then begin to communicate and begin to trust your communication. Beginning to ask your guides before sleep to show you any messages in your dreams. You may not get them. You may get them 5% of your dreams, but it begins to open a door. Begin to ask in the morning. Just speaking to your guides, asking them for assistance, asking them for clarity, asking them to work with you, asking them to show you signs in whichever way that may be. You see, guides and spirit work through invitation, because we're here on a free will planet. So this is why prayer is essentially an invitation to Spirit to say, yes, please come into my life. I invite you into my life. This is why I use prayer so much, because it invites Spirit into my life and I give them permission. And we keep forgetting this as well, to give permission to and ask for help in this way. And they may not help in the way that we may like to think of it or expect it, shall I say. And what I would say is that just be open to the fact that a doorway is opening and trust. There seems to be a theme in this particular session around trust. And I would just say, just trust with what you're experiencing, and trust that if you're not experiencing right now, it will come. I used to be I never used to feel energy, which is bizarre for those of you who know me, because all I talk about is energy now. And I never used to be able to feel my guides. And so a lot of this is just a natural process that if you're seeking it, at some point you will have that connection. It's just that at the right time it will come. And I would say just enjoy the exploration of that happening, because that exploration will allow that to come in. So thank you for that question, because it's going to lead us into a connection with our guides right now. So I'd like us all to go into this together, this meditation. And so if you can close your eyes, I will have some music here in the background. You may not be able to hear it that well, but it's just a subtle background track just to help you connect. And I'd like you to close your eyes. And take a deep, deep breath in, breathing out slowly. Taking another deep breath in, breathing out. We're just slowing down our rhythm together. Just allowing your body to relax, breathing into your heart center and visualizing a beautiful, beautiful golden ball of light just spreading across your heart, spreading across your chest, spreading up and down your being, your body, filling your physical body with your divine, eternal spirit. Feeling the joy and love of your spirit, being invited in here by yourself. And taking awareness down to Mother Earth, connecting to our sacred Mother, beautiful Gaia. Breathing up Mother Earth's energy. Breathing her up into your being, allowing her to ground you, anchor you. And taking awareness to a beautiful ball of white light just above your crown. Just feel the joy of this higher consciousness representing Source, the universe. As white light streams down through your crown, just gently, beautifully opening up each chakra on its way down, filling you up, awakening you, reminding you, gently dissolving the stories, the identities of your life experiences, the thought streams of your day-to-day life, returning you into the eternity of this now moment, beyond the timelines of planet Earth. Just being aware of this presence, this time. I'd like you to visualize yourself standing in a beautiful, beautiful field, grass beneath your feet. And the color of this grass is vibrating strongly, magnificent, luminous green. And you can already tell there's a different quality to this place. The beauty, you remember, from another space beyond this place. And not to worry if you can't visualize this grass, just knowing that there's a healing energy here that is working with you to gently awaken your heart, to awaken more of your inner love. As you invite in your higher consciousness, your higher self, you ask your higher self to bring towards you the most relevant guide, spiritual guide towards you. To bring you what you need to know or feel, experience right now. Just feel a beautiful, glowing presence approaching you. You may see a particular form of a being, a person you may know, of an animal, just trusting all color, or simply a beautiful being of light, just trusting your imagination. Trusting. As we ask this guide to approach closer, and just feel this unconditional love beaming, with such strength, such gentleness, that it naturally dissolves barriers, energies you've been carrying, doubts, just allowing that to be dissolved simply by the presence of this guide. You feel the recognition that this guide has for you, of you, of who you are, your life experiences, the immense, immense praise it has for you, for simply being here, for wishing to connect, for wanting this connection. We're going to ask your guide, just internally asking your guide to offer any guidance from your guide, any messages. And this may come in a form of words or a symbol or a feeling. And to assist you with this, we ask your guide to emanate from their heart center a beautiful ribbon of light that travels into your heart center, carrying this message, carrying this frequency, carrying this greater love for you to recognize you are supported, held, cared for. Watched over and guided. And I'd like you to also ask your guide, to invite your guide into your life in a deeper way, whichever way that may be, as we ask without expectation. Knowing their great love for you and their great desire to assist you in your life. And knowing that something new is beginning, even from this connection, something deeper, something richer, something opening. I'd like you to offer your deep gratitude to this guide. For all the ways you have been assisted, yet haven't been able to see. And just feel that joy returning. With this appreciation, just offering this, allowing your heart to expand in giving, and allowing your heart to expand in receiving. Bring your hands into prayer position to offer your farewell to your guide in this particular place, just knowing your guide is assisting in all ways. And bringing yourself, taking a deep breath in, just beginning to walk along this grass. Just feeling this grass to help you ground and ground. Breathing back into your body. Breathing out Mother Earth's energy. And breathing in your energy field to a manageable size. Thank you all. Namaste. I'd like to leave you with this in this state, and this is the beauty of you doing this at home. You can stay in this state. And I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll send you all an email following this. Take care. Many blessings.